My boyfriend broke up with me on Valentine's Day because I ate too much at dinner.
You're good.
You're fine.
Not the asshole. So, I, 27 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 26 male, since last summer, about 7 months now. It has been my happiest relationship ever so far. Yeah, he is smart, kind, funny, a good listener. Bedroom stuff is excellent, etc. We don't live together yet, but spend about 3 to 4 nights a week together. I was looking forward to our first Valentine's Day together. I made reservations for an early dinner at our favorite steakhouse, and the plan was to come back to my place after, watch a movie, and have dessert. I got us a little heart-shaped chocolate cake and dessert.
You having churros there? Some cake.
Churros slap.
Fucking love churros, bro. Oh my God.
Anyway, I am kind of a string bean, 5'9", and it's a struggle to keep my weight at least 125 pounds. The minimum for my height not to be underweight. There's nothing medically wrong with me. I just have a really fast metabolism and have to be careful to eat enough. My boyfriend is also very slim, 6 foot and about 145 pounds, but doesn't have a huge appetite. So it's always been a bit of a joke that I need to eat more and more frequently than he does, but until our Valentine's date, I didn't really think it was an issue. He shows up looking amazing, gives me lovely flowers and a really sweet card. I give him a gift I know he really wanted, which was an Apple Watch, and we head out to the restaurant. He's a full-time grad student and I work, so I don't expect expensive gifts. Also, I'm paying for dinner due to income differences, which I do not mind at all. When we get in there, I dive into the bread basket and order a salad, surf and turf, which is small fillet and a lobster tail, and a couple sides to share, sauteed spinach and mashed potatoes. And he gets a cup of soup and a grilled salmon. Pretty standard steakhouse stuff. Again, I'm paying, and it's definitely a treat meal, but not extremely unhealthy or anything. I definitely relish my meal and finish everything except for some of the sides. He eats a bit more than half of his salmon. Most of the way through the meal, he starts looking annoyed and distant, but won't tell me what's wrong. We get the check, and as we're pulling up to my apartment, he says he's tired and just wants to go home. Says no, he doesn't want to come in for cake or sleep at my place. He just wants to go home. And in the moment, of course, I'm disappointed because it's Valentine's Day and our first one at that. But tell him I'm so sorry and hope he feels better. Try to give him a kiss goodnight, but he turns his head and tenses up. This morning, he texted me to say he wasn't actually sick. He was embarrassed by how much I ate and it turned him off.
What?
Yeah. That I made a pig of myself and it's really unattractive. Now, for clarification, I do not shovel my food in and I have impeccable table manners, so it's not that. It's definitely just the volume of food. I tried calling him, but he won't pick up. Texts me back saying he isn't up for talking and needs some time to think. A couple hours ago, he texts again saying he's thought about it and he wants to break up. That my eating has upset him for a while and he's trying...
This motherfucker cheating. This is using as an excuse. He's cheating.
That my eating has upset him for a while and he was trying to see if he could get over it, but he can't. I'm so distraught and confused. Just yesterday before dinner, he was telling me how much he loved me and how lucky he was. And of course, I felt horrible about myself for being called disgusting, even though if I eat much less, I will lose weight and get sick. I guess I just have to accept it's over, but hope someone might have some advice. Did I do something wrong here, or is there a way I can fix this? There is an update here. I realized I couldn't just block my ex because he had a bunch of stuff at my place, several outfits worth of clothes, assorted toiletries, and electronic chargers.
You could have blocked him and then just fucking left that out.
Or put a stamp, put return to sender.
What packages?
I gotta get
So I did text him the next day saying I understood, and did he want to come get his stuff, or should I bring it to him?
Oh my God, you're
She's too nice.
Too nice.
Yes.
Yeah. I also asked if he was planning to return the watch, given how things went, and he didn't answer that, but said he would stop by in a couple hours.
If he doesn't give me the watch, he's not getting this shit.
Yeah, I'm filing theft.
Period of the story.
When he arrived, I gave him all his things neatly packed and saw he was wearing the watch. He said he was keeping it because it was a gift.
No, I'm snatching that bitch. Fuck that, bro. We going, nope.
No way.
I told him I thought that was pretty crummy of him, but ultimately I know he is legally in the right because it had been a gift freely given, and for something of value less than $1,000 that doesn't have any sentimental value, it just isn't worth fighting over. He went on to tell me he was sorry he went off on me and that he wanted to break up for a while because he had started seeing someone else in his grad program.
John is a beast.
I called it.
In brackets,
He's a beast.
We do not have an open relationship. And he thought it would be easier if I just thought he was a big jerk for negging me about my eating.
He was just fighting me.
So he thought it would be easier if I thought he was a big jerk. And he had double booked for Valentine's Day with a later dinner with her, which is the reason he didn't eat much at our dinner and sought an excuse to get out of dinner and later activities. Honestly, I could have been really hurt and angry, but in the moment, I just felt sorry for him for being so immature he had to act this way. There is really nothing that turns me off and makes me lose feelings more quickly than a grown man acting completely childish. So I just told him best of luck and I hope he figures out his life. I don't expect we will have future contact. Finally, to address one point from the prior comments, I know a lot of folks said I shouldn't have gotten him such an expensive gift after dating for only 7 months. The thing is, I have usually dated men who are a bit older, not inappropriately so, maybe 5 to 7 years older, and in higher earning professions like law or finance. I'm more used to receiving pretty expensive gifts. And I figured even if he was a student, I still wanted to be as generous as I could. But going forward, I will be more careful and probably wait until dating at least a year to give gifts that cost more than a couple $100s. So all in all, a bit expensive and a hurtful lesson, but it certainly could have been worse. Looking forward to a brief break from the dating scene and hopefully dating more mature people going forward. Am I the asshole for taking a step back from a friendship because her boyfriend seems like a red flag? So, I have been friends with my friend Stephanie since grade 7. We're now in our early 30s. We've had our ups and downs like any friendship, but the last 5 to 6 plus years, we've been really close. We used to do everything together. Trips, weekly if not bi-weekly hangouts, you name it. We even had a small business venture together. I always felt like out of our friend group before, Stephanie and I shared the most similar interests and perspectives. Stephanie was my ride or die, my first call with good or bad news. Stephanie was in a relationship years back with an asshole who ended up cheating on her. I remember when they first started dating, we kind of stopped talking. No bad blood, but she hung out with his friend group more and more, and me and our other friend weren't a part of that. Throughout the past year, Stephanie has really struggled with being single. She would cry when she would get drunk about how the rest of us were in relationships, and she wasn't. She would go on dates with a few guys she met online, with a few being nice, it seemed, but she would always find a reason not to carry on with them. Stephanie emphasized she didn't like overly emotional men or guys who were too affectionate, which some of the guys seemed to be. Which, whatever, to each their own, she knows her type, and that's okay. 2 years ago, she matched with a guy named Steve. Steve lives in a small local town and is a bit older than us. He apparently is a workaholic, which she identifies with as well. At first, it seemed like Stephanie was happy with Steve. The relationship sounded primarily physical and not really anything with depth. But whatever, she's happy. Myself and the friend group were happy for her and supportive, especially given how much Stephanie wanted to be in a relationship and have someone to bring around our little squad. They apparently talked about getting engaged, married, having kids, and all that early on.
That happened fast.
Before the 1 year mark of them seeing each other, she mentioned that she felt the honeymoon phase was over and was becoming annoyed with his family members. She mentioned how they never told one another that they love each other, and there would be times where Steve would drive through Stephanie's town and not see her, only to bring it up days later in a, "Yeah, I was there the other day," conversation. So that's weird. I immediately was getting mixed signals. This dude wants to marry you, but won't even make the time to see you when he's driving through your town? What the fuck? Mm-hmm. Here's where things get weird. So Stephanie has her own house in one town, and Steve has his own in another town. Stephanie hasn't had this house more than 5 years and was talking about moving into Steve's. The catch is Stephanie had pets. Steve hates cats and claims he's allergic. Now, realize how I said had pets. Stephanie gave up her 2 pets for Steve. Stephanie was extremely sad about this, and Steve was apparently not very supportive whatsoever.
That's crazy.
This has never sat well with me, even though the pets went to a good home, because he didn't even try to live with them, which I think is insane. That's the red flag for me.
Yeah.
He didn't even try. Like, at least if you make an attempt and it's like, yeah, you're swelling up, it's like, okay, at least you tried. But
Yeah.
to not even try is crazy. Stephanie moves into Steve's, and he's apparently extremely particular about his place and how things are done. Stephanie told one of our friends Steve wouldn't even give her closet space when she moved in. I've recently seen Steve's house, and there's barely a trace that Stephanie lives there, other than her car being in the driveway. I personally met Steve about 4 times. The first time he seemed okay. He made a comment about her pets being stupid, and Stephanie immediately began tearing up. The second time, he barely said anything to me and spoke to my partner the entire time, which, whatever. The third time, he came to my house and was off-putting and constantly asking Stephanie when they could go because he wasn't drinking. I've tried to be empathetic as my partner is also shy and quiet and thought, hey, maybe this is the case. I should add I have pets and Steve has been to my house and I didn't see an allergic reaction whatsoever. Am I the asshole for throwing away my ex-husband's Valentine's gift for his affair partner?
Wait, what?
No.
All right, so my ex-husband, 34 male, and I, 38 female, have been separated for a year, and the divorce was final last year. About 3 years prior, I caught him in an affair in which he cried and promised things would change and he would never do it again. I was stupid, believed him, and stayed. After countless infidelities, I finally found enough sense and respect for myself to leave the relationship. Good for you. This man gaslit me to the nth degree about his affairs, to the point where he said I needed therapy for the marriage to continue for my false assumptions and questioning his trust. The irony is, solid proof of his multiple affairs were found days after the last "you need therapy for not trusting me" speech. This was the same day I asked for a divorce.
Good on you.
I found out through mutual friends he is expecting, and their conception date would be when we were still together based on his due date. As you can imagine, this has been a lot to deal with, and having to keep in contact with him to complete divorce proceedings and removing his name from my house was painful. Fast forward 1 year to today, and he has not lived here for a year. This is my house. His name is not on it in any way. And I still get mail from him in which I constantly and have kindly asked him to change via text, for which he says he did and will double check every time. This mail includes things like insurance cards for his new affair baby. Just last week, he picked up a last of his belongings and important mail, which I've held for months waiting for him to pick it up. I celebrated this would be the last time I would ever need to contact or see him again. Yesterday, I received a package, and without thinking, I opened it on my way to the door, thinking it was one of my many Amazon buys, LOL. Well, it's a jewelry box with 2 rather cheap-looking necklaces inside, something I didn't order. I double-checked the shipping label, and it's my ex-husband's name. This is clearly a Valentine's present for the new girl, as the rhinestones are green, which I immediately recognize as the month's birthstones. He's never ordered from this company when we were together, so I would have understood if he had an existing account, which had the old address, but I don't see that being the case. At this point, I feel this is almost intentional. How many times can one put in the wrong address on your things? This man is very much a narcissist, but even I don't know if he would go that far or if he's just that stupid. Also, I really want to go no contact moving forward, so I would rather not text him if it can be avoided. I would be lying if I said I didn't still harbor resentment and hate, but I feel guilty not giving someone something they paid for. So would I be the asshole for throwing away the package in the trash? I looked it up and it was under $80 and not fine jewelry by any means.
I've been married for 3 years and have been in a sexless marriage from my husband.
What?
He has disrespected me from the start of our marriage, and his family completely cut ties with me when I got treated like absolute garbage since the very start. He refuses to be intimate now because I'm fat.
What? That one left. I'm really confused. What?
It's too much. It's too much already. Don't call yourself fat. My husband was the first guy I've ever been with. We were speaking for 2 years before we decided to get married. He was lovely, treated me like a queen. I felt extremely comfortable around him. Then he did a 360. I started to gain some happy weight and he started to come at my body and told me he wasn't attracted to me anymore. And he would grab my stomach and say, ew.
Oh my God.
And then he started to always make plans to go on a trip. And then would change his mind and say, actually, I don't want to go out with a fat girl. And then would blame me for his family not talking to me.